Hey, what's up everyone? Nick here. Welcome back to my Resident Evil 4 Professional Difficulty No Damage walkthrough. We are now done with the village. So for those of you familiar with the game itself is kind of divided into three sections. The village, the castle, and the island. The village, in my opinion, is the best part of the game, but the castle is also a lot of fun. The castle is just very enjoyable. There's a lot of new enemies. There's a lot of interesting characters introduced. It's just a fun segment of the game, and it's going to take over chapters 3 and 4. So we're going to be here for a while. This particular video, you might notice this video is a bit longer than some of the previous ones. There's a lot I want to go over. Most importantly, check out what I am going to do here. So first off, feel free to use this time to manage your resources. There are no enemies in the area. But I'm going to talk to the merchants, and I'm going to do two very important things right now. One, I'm going to sell my shotgun. So this is the shotgun that we got in the very first level of the game. We got it for free during the village defense section. It was in one of those houses. So I'm going to sell my shotgun for just under 40,000 currency right now. And now I'm going to buy some items. So first and foremost, I'm going to buy the large suitcase. Now I'm going to buy the riot gun, and I'm also going to buy the rifle. But this time I'm going to buy the semi-auto rifle. So if you remember at the end of the last level, right before taking on Chief Mendez, I sold my rifle so that I could buy a rocket launcher. And with that rocket launcher, that's what I used to take down the boss fight pretty quickly. But now that we don't have the rocket launcher in our inventory, and since we sold the rifle, now is the time where I recommend buying the semi-auto rifle. So again, remember, everything you're seeing me do was pre-planned. I had all of this planned out. I knew exactly when I wanted to sell which weapons and when I wanted to purchase the other weapons, and so it was all planned that I was to sell my rifle in the previous level so that I could now buy the semi-auto rifle after having used my rocket launcher in the boss fight. And so again, that's also why I recommended not upgrading the shotgun and the rifle too much, because I told you earlier in the walkthrough that you would want to sell them later on, so you don't want to waste too much money upgrading them. Now right off the bat, when you turn this corner, you'll see a new enemy type. These are the, I don't know what you want to call them. I usually call them the cultists, because what you're going to see in this castle is kind of like a religious cult. I guess you could call them the monks if you want. I mean, you could call them whatever you want. I'm going to call them the cultists. Most likely I'm just going to call them enemies, or things that you need to shoot. But nevertheless, you can see it's a new enemy type. These are not just random European villagers. Instead, they're wearing these, they're all wearing kind of the same style of robe. Now, when you turn this corner here, there's going to be several trebuchets that are launching these flaming objects at you, and each one is being operated by one or two people. Now, next to each one is also a red explosive barrel. If you shoot the red barrel, that will instantly stop that catapult from damaging you. So you see from this right angle here, I could get the red barrel from pretty far away without exposing myself to any danger. And so most of this just kind of comes with familiarity of the map here. There are several of those catapults on a couple different rooftops, and so you just want to be careful. You don't want to stay out in the open for too long. And again, if you just are kind of familiar with the map, you'll be able to take out all of those. They really won't end up being much of a threat. Now, this is an interesting thing I'm doing here. I told Ashley to wait in that little tower with the cannon in it, and there's a specific reason I did that, albeit it's kind of an unnecessary reason. So what's going to happen is I'm going to come up here. I'm going to finish taking out all of these. Catapults. So you see, I take out the pistol, shoot that red barrel. I believe there's one more that you can't shoot from this location. You have to go across the bridge here. But so you're going to see now there's, you can see the catapults up there firing at me. There's also going to be a couple enemies in the area, and so personally that's why I recommend having Ashley wait down there. One, so that she doesn't get hit by some stray catapults. Two, while you're busy fighting enemies and worrying about the catapults, you don't want some enemy to come and pick her up. But the other reason is there's going to be a couple enemies up here. So you see this guy who's coming towards me now. However, you can't see them, but there's also two enemies that spawn where I came from. And you can see now Ashley, she's being attacked. You can see this exclamation mark next to her name. And that's because two enemies have spawned down by her. Now, my plan here was, you know, if I keep Ashley down there, the two enemies will go for her instead of going for me. So what I could do is I could come up here and clear the area out, and then you can see this guy, he's going to carry Ashley away. But whenever an enemy picks up Ashley, they walk away very slowly. So I had plenty of time to come down here and finish the job. So essentially, the purpose of my strategy there was to use Ashley as bait. I thought if I kept her down there, the two enemies would go for her before going for me. In one of my earlier playthroughs, it worked perfectly. In this one, you could see it was slightly flawed. And so that's why I kind of said it's a strategy that helped me. I found it useful. But at the end of the day, it's definitely not necessary. You could very easily have just had Ashley follow you the entire time. And again, as long as you know where the catapults are, there shouldn't be too much danger of her wandering off and getting struck by one. But yeah, so this is an area you can kind of toy with your own strategy if you'd like. But so like I said, this is Chapter 3.1, and we are being introduced to not only a brand new chapter, but also a brand new location, brand new characters, brand new enemies. So this is a pretty eventful chapter, and so there's kind of a lot I want to say. Most importantly, aside from all of these new characters and events that we're being introduced to, perhaps the most important thing is I'm actually going to be introducing you guys to a very important strategy, and this is a strategy that I hinted at in Chapter 2.3. However, I just very briefly went over it, and then I said I'm going to go more in depth with it in the next level of the game, which is this level here, Chapter 3.1. And this strategy that I'm going to show you guys, this is a strategy that, one, really comes in handy in this level here, but it's also going to be a strategy that I employ throughout the rest of the game. And it's perhaps one of the most important techniques that you can do in this game. And if you haven't maybe guessed already, it's going to involve, or at least when I explain it in depth, it's going to involve the water hall, or the Hall of Water.
Leon, where's your current location?
We decided to lay low in a castle, but it looks like it was a bad move.
Meaning?
Well, it appears that this castle's also connected with the Los Illuminados. They must not get many visitors here, because they're giving me one hell of a welcome.
Sounds bad. I have an idea, Leon. I need you to...
What? Repeat, Hunnigan. Great. Just my luck.
Alright, so Hunnigan's transmission cut off, and if I remember correctly, I think that's the last time we're actually going to hear from her until, like, the end of the game, when, you know, obviously when Leon saves the day and he's on his way home. So if I remember correctly, there's going to be no more Hunnigan. Now, look what I do here. I have Ashley wait in the corner of this lower room, and then I back up the staircase, and as soon as I hear the enemies coming after me, I run back down here, and you can see how not only did I shoot them down, but I did so that they would both fall on top of each other, and then I could hurt both of them with one knife swing. Now this guy here, sometimes he'll come down and you can do the same thing to all three enemies, but you can see here he was a little late to the party, so that's why I just, again, waited down here, let him come down at his own pace, and then take him out. Now right here, we are being introduced to the second type of parasite. I don't know what you would call it, but earlier in the walkthrough I told you how there's kind of three different parasites. That one right there, that's the second type. Not much different than the other types. You know, what'll happen is you'll kill an enemy, it will erupt from the head, and obviously you'll have to shoot it to put it down. Now right here, we're going to run up these stairs, and I'm going to have Ashley hide in this corner right here. And your goal here is to not let a single enemy get up to this floor. So right off the bat, two enemies are going to rush you. Take out the shotgun for some crowd control and shoot them down to the bottom of the staircase. Now I'm gonna, I'm gonna hold my ground here at the top of the staircase because a lot of enemies are about to run up here. So again, I'm gonna take out the pistol, shoot them in the legs, try to knock them all down. You can see this parasite is getting a bit too close for comfort, so once again, just take out the shotgun for crowd control. Now you can see I have 4 enemies all kind of grouped together, so I'm going to throw an incendiary grenade. Now, unfortunately, I really messed up that grenade. I threw it way too close, and so I didn't get the parasite in the explosion, but that's okay. Just finish him off with the pistol. Now again, same thing we've been doing throughout the entire game. Whenever a parasite does happen to emerge, remember, flashbang can kill it instantly, but you really don't want to use the flashbang unless it's a last resort. The flashbangs are just, in my opinion, one of the most valuable resources in this game. And there are other ways you can take out the parasites. Perhaps the best being just one rifle shot to the head. Or you can see here, I'm just doing it with the shotgun. The shotgun is also good at dispatching the parasites. The only drawback is you have to be pretty close to do it in one hit. But one thing I will point out on the weapons before we carry on into the chapter is I would definitely recommend you to get the shotgun, the riot gun, and the semi-auto rifle at this point in the game. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now that I'm going to keep every weapon that I have right now, so all 4 weapons right here, I'm going to be keeping all 4 of those weapons for the rest of the game. And that's just because those are my weapons of choice. So I'm going to begin upgrading as much as I can to get those weapons as powerful as I can. I know that some players, they prefer the striker over the riot gun, and those types of calls will be completely up to you. You know, if you want to wait and get the striker later, and so maybe not upgrade the riot gun as much, like I said, that's all your call, but I'm just going to let you know right now that every weapon that I currently have, I'm going to be keeping it for the remainder of the game, and so I'm going to work on upgrading those weapons to get them as strong as possible.
Leon!
Louis.
I've got something for you guys. What? Oh, shit! I must have dropped it when I was running away from them.
Dropped what?
A drug that'll stop your convulsions. Look, I know you're carriers. You've been coughing up blood, right?
Yeah.
And you?
Yes.
Damn it! The eggs have hatched. We don't have much time.
What are you talking about?
I have to go back and get it.
Let me come with you.
No. You stay here with Leon. He's better with the ladies. I'm sure.
Why are you...
It makes me feel better. Let's just leave it at that.
Alright, so in my opinion, that was kind of a pointless cutscene. Like, Louis just shows up and says, oh, hey, I got these things for you. Oh, wait, never mind, I don't. But anyway, so check out what I'm going to do here. I'm going to run through this door. I'm going to sprint through this tunnel here. I'm going to take a right, go past these 2 shield enemies, and go straight through this door. So in this section, there's a lot of enemies, and you can definitely just run past. So check out what I do here. I'm going to take this key. As soon as you pick up the key, more enemies are going to come in through this doorway. So I'm going to turn around and shoot that explosive barrel. And you can see that I actually killed most of them in the explosion. Now, a couple stragglers were able to survive. Now, truth be told, I could have just run out of this room. But there are some items in this room that I figured I would stay for. And there are also still some enemies outside. So I didn't want to just run outside without knowing what to expect. But the point is, this is another section where it kind of just depends on how you want to do it. So again, remember when I went through that initial door, I just took off on a dead sprint, and I ran straight to this room and kind of just sprang right into action. The alternative is you could stand by that initial door and just kind of let the enemies come to you one by one. And the biggest difference is it's just a time thing. This is kind of the quick approach, just kind of run through it all, get the key, and now I'm going to use the key to open this door. And again, this is kind of a little introduction to the strategy. So you'll notice that when I'm given the option to open this door, the text is in green instead of white. And you'll notice how also whenever I open a door with green letters, you'll kind of see the screen, like the camera, do this weird kind of stretch animation, and it like as it fades to black, it kind of stretches out. And so that's the strategy that I'm talking about. Basically, whenever you go to open a door that has green letters under it, what that means is that you're getting an automatic checkpoint. So the reason there that I ran through the door is because I had gotten the key, so I wanted to give myself a checkpoint. That way, you know, if I accidentally took some damage or got hit or whatever, I wouldn't have to redo the entire section. I would just be able to pick up where I was before I went into that door. So again, like I said in the previous chapter when I first introduced this strategy, it's kind of hard to explain just using words, but I think you'll really kind of understand where I'm coming from when we get to the Hall of Water, which is like one of the more infamous sections in the game, which occurs later on in this level. And so yeah, we'll get to it more in a bit, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pick up some treasures in here and whatnot. Now keep in mind, I got the key and I went into the castle, so technically I never even needed to come back here. I just did that so that I could come and get some of the treasure, because one of the biggest things about the castle is you're going to see that you get a lot of money in the next 2 chapters of the game.
I was starting to wonder when you might notice us.
Who are you?
Me llamo Ramon Salazar, the 8th Castellan of this magnificent architecture. I have been honored with the prodigious power from the great Lord Sadler. I've been expecting you, my brethrens.
No thanks, bro.
My, we've got a feisty one. If you care for your own well-being, I suggest you surrender yourself and simply become our hostage. Or Mr. Scott, you can give us the girl because you're not worth a penny, I'm afraid. You can die.
I'm never turning into one of them. Never.
Got that right. We'll find a cure.
Alright, so we're now in the castle. We've been introduced to Ramon Salazar. And so, like I said earlier, you know, we're introduced to 3 different environments in this game. There's the village, there's the castle, and there's the island. And each of those environments kind of has its own little antagonist. So the main antagonist in the village was Chief Mendez. You could probably already tell that Salazar is going to be the main, our main adversary for the next 2 chapters in the castle. And the cutscenes that you're going to watch with Salazar are some of the just... I mean, don't get me wrong, I love this game. You guys know that. Chances are you love this game as well, but I honestly don't know what the writers were thinking with some of the just cutscenes and dialogue choices they made, and you're gonna see later on they just get worse and worse. But like in that cutscene when Salazar says, "Oh, we've been expecting you, my brethren," and Leon just looks at him and says, "No thanks, bro." Like, that line just sounds so unnatural and just honestly so stupid, and I can't help but just think like who, you know, I picture a room of writers sitting around a conference table, you know, collectively writing this game, and I just can't imagine somebody pitching that line and the rest of the people in the room nodding their heads and saying, "Oh yeah, good job there. That's a really sweet line. I wish I had thought of it." And like I said, that's a small one, like what I just talked about there, the whole "no thanks, bro." That's a very small one. You're gonna see later on they just get worse and worse. And as much as I love this game, some of these cutscenes are just comedic gold. I don't know how else to put it. But yeah, so let's get back into the gameplay. We're going to go down here, and we're going to be, yet again, introduced to another type of enemy. Now, as you guys know, I'm always really bad at remembering names of weapons and enemies. If I remember correctly, I think these guys are called El Garradors, or El Garradors. I usually just call them the Wolverines, because they have, like, the 3 metal claws, similar to Wolverine. But what you need to know about these guys is that they're blind, and they will attack you based on what they hear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back into the cage, and then immediately turn around once he screams. And he's going to come out into this room here, he's going to charge me, and he's going to get his claws stuck in a wall. So I'm going to go ahead and take out the rifle, and you're going to want to shoot him in the back. You can see on the backs they have this parasite attached to them. That's their weak spot. So if you try to shoot them in the head or in the chest or whatever, you're not really going to do any damage. You have to shoot them in the back. So like I said, they are blind, so you're going to be using noise to hurt these guys. So you'll see I shot the bell. He's going to be distracted by the bell. He's going to go over and start swinging at it. And that's when I'm going to take out the rifle to shoot the parasite. Now, of course, you don't need the rifle. You could use the shotgun, you could use the pistol. I mean, you could use grenades if you really wanted to. I always prefer using the rifle because it's a long-distance weapon. And as you can see, these guys, their claws are pretty large, which means they have a pretty significant reach. And so I like to keep my distance. I don't like to get too close. And obviously the rifle is the best job for that. And again, like I said, I'm really going to start on upgrading my weapons to make them more and more powerful. And so the rifle is one of my main weapons throughout the rest of the game. And so I'm definitely going to take every chance I can to upgrade it so that it does even more damage on these types of enemies.
Follow me.
But so we kill him, we go into his cell, we pull the lever, and now we're going to go back upstairs. I'm going to have Ashley wait down here because we are going to have to kill a couple standard enemies. But we are now approaching what is the infamous Hall of Water. This is a very challenging room. It's a very stressful room. It's a very intimidating section of the game. However, you know, luckily for you, or probably not, since you've, you know, probably beaten this game on your own already, I seem to have cracked it. I seem to have figured out probably what I consider the best strategy. Now, that being said, I haven't really watched other people's strategies for this room, so I don't know how good their strategies are. Now, right there, notice how I shot his dynamite stick, and it instantly killed the 2 enemies with crossbows, and then I'm just going to finish this guy off with my weapons. I don't know how the dynamite didn't kill him, but somehow it didn't, and so I'm just going to have to finish the job with my regular weapon. But notice how I'm shooting him from a distance, because once you go into that room, there's going to be one more enemy on the left, so just be careful of that. But anyway, once we go through the next door, we will officially be in the Hall of Water. And this is where what I've been calling the checkpoint strategy comes into play. So this door in front of me, you're going to notice that when I walk up to the door, the green letters tell me to open the door. Now watch what I do here. This is very, very important. I'm going to equip my rifle. I'm going to go through the door, and there's going to be a ton of enemies that begin rushing me. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot 2 of the enemies with crossbows. I'm going to immediately turn around, and I'm going to come back into this room. So watch how fast I do this. I go through the door, aim the rifle, shoot crossbow enemy number 1, boom, headshot, turn to the left, crossbow enemy number 2. Now notice all of these enemies rushing me. I'm going to turn around and go back into this room. Since I've done that, I am automatically given a checkpoint. Now when I return to this room, notice how the enemies begin in their starting location. So I'm going to take out the rifle once again, kill those 2 enemies, turn around, go back into the room. And now watch, I mean, this is just kind of magical. So I killed those 2 enemies. I'm going to go back through the door, and I'm going to do the same thing with the enemies on the left. And you'll see that when you go through this door, it does not eliminate your progress. So when I go through the door, when I come back, the enemies that I've killed, they are dead. They are not coming back. The game does not respawn them. And so you can see just how effective this strategy is. Now, once you've killed those initial enemies, you're going to see a new wave of shield enemies comes into the picture. So check out what I do here. They're all going to rush me. instead of wasting a ton of ammunition on them, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lure them over to me. I'm going to run over to this corner here, get them all kind of piled together, throw a frag grenade, and boom it. That grenade basically just killed every enemy in the group. Maybe like 1 or 2 survived, so I'm going to take out the TMP to kind of finish the job. You see this guy in red right here. I'm going to try to kill him as quickly as possible, but you'll notice I'm still getting attacked by 2 shield enemies. Now again, remember, if at any point you feel like you're getting overwhelmed, if you're just, if there's shield enemies surrounding you from every area of the room, all you have to do is turn around and go through the door you came in from. And that is the strategy. And again, the reason this is such a beautiful strategy and the reason it works is because in this game, whenever you go through a door that has green letters that say open, so you'll notice whenever you go to open a door, it will say open on the bottom of the screen. Whenever those letters are white, that means it's a regular door. There's nothing special going on. Whenever the letters are green, that means it's a checkpoint door. So that means every time you go through that door, you're given a free checkpoint. And it also, because you're getting a checkpoint, it retains all of your progress. And that's what allows the strategy here to work. When you first come into this room, you are just bombarded by like 8 enemies, and they come at you from the center, they come at you from the left, and they come at you from the right. And so instead of dealing with that just barrage of enemies, the best thing you could do is take out the rifle and first and foremost shoot the 2 enemies with crossbows, because those are going to be the ones that ruin your no damage playthrough, and those are going to be the ones that cause you the most damage since they can hurt you from a long distance. But you're going to use the rifle to shoot the 2 crossbow enemies. Now normally, after you shoot those 2 enemies, all of the other enemies are now surrounding you. They're now very close to you, and so now you're stuck with, oh crap, what do I do? Do I throw a flashbang so that I can run away? I don't know what to do. Well, that's where what I did comes in, hopefully. You just turn around, go through the door, turn back around, come back into this room, and the 2 crossbow enemies are permanently dead. They are not going to respawn, and the really beautiful thing is that all of the enemies will start in their original location. So again, check this out. I go through the door, turn around, come back, and none of the enemies are in sight because I have already killed them. And so it's this strategy that's going to allow you to just pick, because in this room you're just enemies are just thrown at you like crazy. But with this checkpoint strategy, you're able to take the fight at your own pace. You just pop in, kill 1 or 2 guys, pop back out. Pop in, kill 1 or 2 guys, pop back out. And it's really that simple. And I really do mean this. That strategy, it makes what would otherwise be a very stressful fight into kind of child's play. Like once you learn that strategy, it's very simple to get through this fight. And again, it's because you can take it at your own pace. You just pop in, kill a few, pop out. Pop in, kill a few, pop out, and rinse and repeat until the room is empty. Now, another reason personally that I like this strategy is because, this particular fight here, this is a very long fight. This whole sequence takes about 20 minutes, or I don't know if it's that long, but it takes like 10 to 25 minutes. And because I'm doing a no damage playthrough, you can imagine how shitty it would be to make your way through the whole fight, and then at the last second you just get, you make one small mistake and you get hit by an enemy, and then, uh-oh, now I have to redo the entire fight. So the beauty of doing the checkpoint strategy is that every time you leave the room, you get a checkpoint. And so, if you happen to make your way through 3/4 of the fight, and then you end up getting hit or dying or getting close to dying, all you need to do is restart the checkpoint, and instead of starting at the very beginning of the fight, you will start at, the previous time where you walked through the green door. Or the green lettered door, I should say. I don't want people to get confused and think there's actually a green door somewhere. But yeah, guys, other than that, that's the strategy. Just make use of those checkpoints. And again, like I said, this is a strategy that I am going to be using for pretty much the rest of the game. It really does come in handy. It really is kind of the perfect strategy for all of the reasons I've said. It's a free checkpoint. The enemies can't follow you through the door. It's just it really is a beautiful strategy. And so now you'll notice I'm completely in the clear. There's no enemies chasing me until now. So what you have to do at this point, there are no more enemies attacking me. So you have to have Ashley stand on one switch, you stand on the other, and once you do that, a fresh batch of enemies are going to spawn. So what you're going to want to do is take out the shotgun, and now we're going to make a run for it, and we're going to run back to our safe room. So I'm going to run out here, dodge this guy, just run right past him. Now there are going to be a couple enemies blocking your path here. You can try to run past them. I just decided to use the shotgun to kind of stun them. So there you go. And now I'm just going to make a run for it. And again, like I said, I want to take this fight at my own pace. I don't want the enemies to overwhelm me. I want to be the one overwhelming the enemies, and the way I do that is I control the fight. I tell the fight when to start, and I do that by going through the checkpoint door. So again, you see that fresh wave of enemies has spawned. They're still there, but because I ran through this door, I'm giving myself a checkpoint. And now that I know where the enemies spawn from, I can just keep coming through this door and picking them off on the spawn. So notice how I take out the rifle. They're going to come through these two side doors. So boom, snipe one guy. Here come some other ones. Snipe them. 1, 2. And now, instead of getting overwhelmed, I'm just going to turn around, go through the door, rinse and repeat. And that's pretty much it, guys. Like I said, that is the checkpoint strategy. Now, like I said, I did not watch anyone's strategy for this room on YouTube, so I am not claiming to have invented this strategy, because I most likely did not. But yeah, usually when I make a walkthrough, if I use a strategy that I know belongs to someone else, I try to give that person credit. But obviously, I don't watch every video on YouTube. So it is very possible that someone has already done this strategy and has showed it online, and if that's the case, then well done. What I want to the point I want to get across is that I am not claiming to have invented this strategy. I'm not calling it the Nick strategy or the persnickety approach. I'm simply calling it the checkpoint strategy. Someone else might have already done it. In fact, that's the more probable case. But either way, it's definitely what I recommend doing based on my experience playing the game. And now, like I said, now we control the fight. So we have turned what is one of the more infamous fights in the game into child's play. Now, unfortunately, there's not much you can do about the time. This is still a pretty lengthy fight. And you kind of see, you've kind of seen throughout this walkthrough how I balance the different options. You can usually, with any given fight, you could run through the fight. By doing that, you're quicker, you minimize damage, or at least risk for damage, but at the same time, you often leave behind resources. Or in this case, there's not really an option. You kind of just have to stick you kind of just have to bear through the whole fight, but you can do so intelligently. Now, watch what I do here. The room is now completely cleared. I'm going to call Ashley over here, and I'm going to tell her to turn this crank. Once she begins turning, I'm going to turn around and run to the very back of this room, equip your rifle, and get ready, because once this staircase lowers, there's going to be a lot of enemies with scythes that are running towards you. And check this out. This is a pretty sweet double headshot. Boom, 2 enemies in 1. Could have been 3 if they had lined up properly. But yeah, so they're going to all run towards you. Each of them is carrying a scythe. And the reason that's a bad thing is because they can actually throw those scythes with incredible accuracy, but they won't throw them until they get within a certain distance. So by running that far away, you basically guarantee that you'll be able to pick them off before they get close enough to throw them at you. Now, I chose to dispatch of them with the rifle, but if you're running low on rifle ammo, then you could just use a pistol to knock them all down and then run up and throw an incendiary grenade or something. And the reason I point that out is because we are now kind of in the second stage of this room, and this is where you have to have Ashley, you actually have to separate from Ashley, and she's going to have to turn 2 separate cranks, And while you're protecting her, you're also going to have to protect yourself. And the easiest way to protect her is with the rifle, because she's going to be kind of far away. So again, if you're running low on rifle ammo, you might want to use a different weapon to take out those enemies with the scythes. That'll kind of be up to you and whatever your given situation is at this point in the game. But, so check this out. This part is kind of challenging, but as always, there's a way through it. And I'm going to try to show you what I consider to be the best approach. So, here we go. We have picked up all the resources. I have enough rifle ammo to get me through this. So I'm going to go over to the left side here. Or I guess the right side if you're coming from the other direction. And I'm going to boost Ashley up. And it doesn't really matter. You could start with either one. But, so I'm going to boost her up here, and she's going to go turn that crank. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand in this corner right here, and I'm immediately going to start killing these enemies with my rifle. So there's 1, there's 2, and now some enemies are going to start rushing me. So what I'm going to do is take out the pistol, and I'm going to shoot them in the legs as best I can. So here we go. It's okay if you miss a couple times. It's natural. But shoot them in the legs, knock them all down, and buy yourself a couple seconds. Now, once they're all knocked down, take the rifle back out and just go to work getting as many headshots as you can. Now, I'm going to turn back to the enemies on my ground level. Take out the TMP because they're a bit closer now, and I want to do this rapidly. And I'm going to shoot them all in the legs. Once again, knock them all down. While they're down there, I'm going to take the rifle back out and go back to getting headshots. Now, if one of these enemies does happen to get close to Ashley, don't worry, they're not going to kill her, they're just going to pick her up and take her away. Now, if they end up taking her away, then yes, you will have to restart the checkpoint. Otherwise, you'll be okay. You just shoot the enemy that's carrying her, they'll drop her, and you're good to go. Now, notice that after Ashley has successfully turned this first crank, this platform is going to come up in the water, and that's a wonderful thing because what you're going to want to do is jump over to this platform, and now anytime an enemy gets close to you, what you're going to do is actually let them jump across the gap, and then once they land on the same platform as you, you just take out the shotgun and shoot them into the water, and again, once they fall into the water, it's an instant kill. So notice how that's exactly what I'm doing here. I'm standing right here. Anytime an enemy comes up to me, I'm buying myself a couple extra seconds since they have to jump the gap, and then I just take out the shotgun and shoot them into the water. And yeah, now you can see there aren't very many enemies left in the area. So you're just going to let Ashley continue to turn the second crank. So there she goes. It is now ready to be crossed. So I'm going to... What you have to do is you have to go get her now, because for some reason she can't jump down an 8-foot wall by herself. I feel like she should be able to, but she can't. So I'm going to go ahead and stun these enemies here. And from this point, you no longer really have to worry about killing any enemies. You just want to do this part as quickly as possible and try to conserve ammunition because, you know, even with my checkpoint strategy, you still have to use a lot of ammo in this room. There's not really any way around it. So that's exactly what we're going to do. And now that we have Ashley, just go ahead and make a run for it and run up these stairs, go through the door, and we are now done with the infamous water haul. I really hope you guys enjoyed that strategy because I was pretty proud of it. I thought it went down pretty well. And yeah, that'll pretty much bring us to the end of Chapter 3.1. So we're going to come to this big room here. To officially finish the level, you're just going to go down the center hallway, and that will trigger a cutscene that will bring about the end of the level. Before doing that, however, you could do this either now or at the beginning of the next level, so I figured I would just get it out of the way now. You can scavenge this room for some treasures. There's actually quite a bit lying around. There's some resources. There's also a merchant if you have anything you want to sell. But again, remember, you can do all of this at the start of the next level, so go ahead and choose however you want to do it. But anyway, I want to go ahead and thank you guys for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. So yeah, I'm just going to visit the merchant and sell some of the resources that I've picked up. And you can already see like how much money I have. I'm over 120,000. And like I said, there's so many treasures in the castle. There's so many opportunities to make money. So this is really the best part of the game for buying new weapons and making upgrades and whatnot.
You alright?
I'm fine! Leave me alone!
Ashley, wait! Ashley!
What's going on?
Don't worry, Ashley. I'm coming for you.
Alright guys, like I said, that is the end of Chapter 3-1. You see that I actually died once in this level. I'll explain how that happened at the start of the next video, but I ran out of time in this one. As always, let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Particularly, I'd love to know what you think of my water room strategy, the checkpoint thing. And otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.